All right, go ahead, Carlene. Yes, sorry about that.
Thank you again, Dr. Dice, and good afternoon again. We move to our second presenter, Ms. Abigail Thompson, who is a second-generation Jamaican living in Surrey, London. She is an early years practitioner and special needs support worker responsible for collaborating with nursery assistants, managers, SENCO officers, and parents to support children who have additional or different educational needs to their peers. Ms. Thompson in 2016 became an active member of and started working with JET UK, that's the Jamaica Education Taskforce in the United Kingdom, in support of the community within the UK diaspora. Then in July 2016, she launched her own company, Loving Hands Children Network, or LHCN. This is a community project which aims to provide training, resources, and parental workshops for children and careers for others in the community. Ms. Thompson took part in Diaspora Day service at the Jamaica Diaspora Conference in 2017 in Jamaica. And this year, she became an active member of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council, representing her community for the ministry. It was her way, she feels, of committing her services in ways of giving back to communities within the diaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, teachers, here is Ms. Abigail Thompson, Early Childhood Education.
Hi, everyone.
They can hear you.
Hi. As I was lovely introduced, I don't think I can add anything to that. Apart from you already know my name. I'm Abigail Thompson. I've been in early years education for over 10 years, I would say, since I left school. Born and bred in Jamaica, second generation Jamaican. So yes, my presentation today is about early childhood education. Presentation is not one of my strong points, but if you could bear with me, I'll try and be as thorough as possible. So I'm just gonna go right into it. So my presentation is about early childhood education. As it states under the topic, every child can learn, every child must learn. I'm going to firstly speak on early years foundation stages and development. I believe in Jamaica they call it developmental milestones, but here in the UK we call it early years foundation stages and development. How do I do this? How do I move this down? Okay. According to the Child Care Act 2006, the Early Years Foundation framework was created to, was created to monitor the developmental stages and welfare of children from birth to 5 years. Early childhood development is defined as the physical, psychological, cognitive, and social development for children. It is vital for both parents and educators as well as caregivers to construct a strong foundation throughout the process. This applies to childminders. We call, I believe in some places they call them caregivers. Play groups and holiday schemes, reception and nursery age children and preschoolers. The 4 main principles of the early years foundation stage is, number 1, every child is unique, who is constantly learning and can be resilient, capable, confident, and self-assured. Number 2, children learn to be strong and independent through positive relationships. Children learn and develop well in enabling environments in which their experiences respond to their individual needs to enable a strong partnership between practitioners, parents, and/or carers. And number 4, children develop and learn in different ways and at different pace to their peers. There are 7 main areas of EYFS. Number 1 is communication and language development. There's some resource to explain this in more detail, which will be available on the website, as what Dr. Dice had mentioned. Number 2 is physical development, and number 3 is personal, social, and emotional development. Number 4 is literacy development. Then there's maths, understanding the world, expressive art, and design. So keeping children safe in education. Safeguarding. Safeguarding is the action taken to protect children from all harm in order to provide a safe environment. So according to a guide on keeping children safe in education 2019, this is from the British government website. So it might be something different where you're in your region. So safeguarding and promoting the welfare of children is everyone's responsibility, which I'm sure that relates to other regions as well. Everyone who comes into contact with children and their families has a role to play. In order to fulfill this responsibility effectively, all practitioners should make sure their approach is child-centered. This means that they should consider at all times what is in the best interest of the child. Safeguarding and promoting the welfare of children is defined for the purposes of the guidance from, as I explained before, from the British government website, preventing impairment of children's health or development, ensuring that children grow up in circumstances consistent with the provision of safe and effective care, and taking action to enable all children to have their best outcomes. So here I'm talking about Ofsted, which is an acronym for Offices for Standards in Education here in the UK. Ofsted is the Office for Standards in Education. It's a children's services and skills. It is a regulating governing body that inspects services providing education and skills for learners of all ages. So they go in and they inspect day nurseries, daycares, anywhere that provides childcare for children. And they inspect them as, I believe, well, whatever your in your region, what your governing body is, but they inspect to make sure that you have all the standards in place to open and to give care to children of a certain age. In this case, we're talking about early years. They make sure that you have the right staff, your staffing have the right qualifications needed, and ratios, and so on and so forth. Any questions? I'm going on to another topic. So if there's any questions.
Hold on, yes, one question. Learning styles tend to be limited to the use of the senses. Is there more to this concept that should be considered?
Could you repeat that for me, Dr. Dice?
Yeah, learning styles tend to be limited to the use of senses. The learning styles, I think it has to do with the multiple intelligences too. However they learning styles.
So learning, well, I have got learning styles in my slide okay, actually.
So, right.
So if that person don't mind waiting till I get to that bit, or would they want me to answer fine. That now?
Yeah, you can go continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So my next slide is about creating a significant focus on numeracy and literacy development. So numeracy, as it relates to numeracy enables children to create and describe patterns, which is essential in early problem-solving skills. The introduction of maths at an early stage develops their understanding and ability to reasoning on a broader spectrum. Again, I've got resources here for that that will be available. But in brief, it's a section of the earliest foundation stage in maths, and it's basically talking about what stage children should be at, and what they should be learning at a certain age in terms of their tracking and development. So in the UK we call it tracking. So say for example, a 2-year-old is learning at baby stages. You know, you assess them over a term, and then you adjust the learning to their needs, and then that's how you track their needs. I'm not sure, I've got it here, but I'll make sure that it's available as a resource. And literacy development. Literacy skills in early years enables the development of children's communication skills. This involves breaking down words into syllables and letter sounds in order to support each individual child to recognize the composition of sounds in different words to stimulate early language development. So for example, in phonics, there is different children, like for example, I could give an example where for a non-verbal child, to do a phonic sound, they maybe use hand gestures, which I speak on more further on in my slides. For example, if they're spelling tap, it's t-a-p. So, you know, that's the using actions because they are non-verbal. So moving on, the importance of phonics and reading. So the use of phonics is an effective way of encouraging and extending a child's speech and language development, like what I just explained just now with a nonverbal child. When children are familiar with phonics verbally, it helps to stimulate the process of learning how to read. A method that I recommend is absorb, retain, and redo method. So absorb, receptive learning. So that will be the first stage. So that's where they're absorbing what they are being taught, and then retaining when they memorize. So, and then redo. And this is where I'm going into more depth with the different types of sounds to help children with their phonics. That initially helps with their reading. So the 7 aspects of sounds are, the first one is environmental sounds. So that is the development of listening skills and sounds in the environment. For example, how the sound of a bird, and for instrumental sounds, musical instrument sound, different. For example, a xylophone will sounds different from a guitar, and they should be able to differentiate differentiate between the sounds. Body percussion, this is the development of sound to distinguish between the different patterns and rhythms, which this helps when they're doing circle time and they're doing songs, and they know how to like move to the beat and so on and so forth. Rhythm, number 4, rhythm and rhyme, developing the awareness of rhymes to support speech and language. You've got some children that, in my setting, I've got quite a few children that English is their second language, so rhymes support them a lot, and you hear them. It helps to help them learn their letter sounds as well a lot. So even if they cannot put sentences together, they are able to recognize letter sounds just by the memorizing rhymes. Number 5 is alliteration, the blending of letter sounds at the beginning of words. And number 6 is voice sounds, exploring different sounds that you can make with using your voice. You know, for example, in circle time again, you know, children, when they're learning rhymes, when they don't know the rhymes, they'll still make the sound as if they know it. So, you know, so eventually they will remember it. So the next one is oral blending and segmenting. So that's the blending of sounds in the correct sequence and memorizing them using a clapping motion or counting with the use of your fingers, as I explained in the phonics, where the t, a, p, and you can also clap it out as well, t, a, p, as well. So that's another way of learning sounds. So here I've got a communication tree here, and basically the communication tree what it is showing is that it's ways in which children communicate. So at the root of the tree, you've got play and attention and listening, because that is the root of communication. And then you've got understanding, which is the trunk of the tree. And then as you move up to the branches, you've got words and talking. And then you've got at the top was environment, the learning environment that plays a vital role so that the child can flourish. So say, for example, at the bottom of the tree would be maybe from baby, when they're hearing just little sounds, just like, for example, when a child is just born, you know, you make the babbling sounds with them and so on and so forth to introduce sounds and language to them, yeah? And then eventually they will gain an understanding of it, and then then it transfers into words, and yeah, from there. But I'll have a further explanation of this also in the resources, so that is available. Any questions before I move on into transitioning?
Yes. One question. Is tracking the same as the ability? Is the same as ability grouping in math?
Ability grouping in math.
Yeah. I need to expound on it a little more.
I'm not sure. I don't think I've heard the term ability grouping.
Math.
Could you explain that in more detail?
Yeah. The person who posted it in the chat explained it in a little more detail. Okay, Miss McLean, White McLean, explain it a little bit.
Tracking is do they want me to explain what tracking is?
If you could, because maybe they want to find the difference between.
So basically what it is tracking is when you get a child in your setting the first time, you're not aware of at what level the child is working at. So what we have is the EYFS tracking. So we get children from 2 years. So say for example, the child starts in September. So we will have them, we will be observing, using the tracking to observe them. So we've got observation sheets. So what we do is we observe them over a term. So for us, the term begins in September and ends in October. That's our first term of early years. And then over that 6 weeks period, we track that child to see where they are at, because we're getting to know the child. So the first 6 weeks is getting to know the child, see where the child is at, and what stage you're at in the 7 areas of EYFS, and that is tracking. And then we have there is a sheet that we track them on in terms of months and what their abilities are, to see whether or not what help they would need and what support they would need further on whilst they're with us until they're 5 years old. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you can move on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm moving on to transitioning from preschool to primary. So transitioning is to ease the burden of adjustment from an earlier setting to a primary setting. Transitions have to be managed carefully to avoid any form of emotional stress to children and parents. This needs to be done in a strategic way to help form strong learning environment bonds between parents and teachers that lays a foundation to encourage a positive transition. So, while children are transitioning, this is where we're encouraging independent learning, because now they're going over to, as we call it, big school, primary school. So it's like they have to grow up like quick. So independent learning. So this is where educators support children in making decisions based on their own choices and goals to support their academic development. So as it relates to early years, to support independent learning in order to transition to primary education, children are encouraged by teachers to create an All About Me book. That's another resource that I'll have. So the All About Me book is basically the child telling their new teacher who they are, their likes and dislikes, you know, what subjects they love, and so on and so forth, about their family members as well. They can put that in there. So it's just an easier way to transition them over to their new class, and for them to look forward to meeting their new teacher. They're also encouraged to have class visit to help with adjusting to their new learning environment. This allows the child to express themselves positively to their teacher and allows for a smooth transition. So the benefits of independent learning. So according to a report, which is called What is Independent Learning and What Are the Benefits for Students, 2008, the benefits of independent learning are improved academic performance, increased motivation and confidence, increased chances to be creative intellectually and physically, fostered social inclusion and encountered alienation from peers, increased opportunities for completing tasks set by teachers. So learning styles and environment. So this is where I was talking about the learning styles. So an enabled environment and routines helps to encourage building new friendships and developing a sense of security following a transition. When children progress from home to setting or from preschool to primary, it is vital that they feel a sense of security, stability, and confidence in their teachers. Adjusting the learning environment to meet the needs of the child is vital. According to Kolbe's theory of learning styles, he believed that our individual learning styles emerge due to our genetics, life experiences, and the demand of our current environment. So these are the Kolbe's 4 learning styles. So the Converger. These are practical thinkers that learns best in simple environments. So these are children that, you know, they learn better with when they're more like introverts, I would say, and they learn better when things are simplified. So the Diverger, these are reflective thinkers that learns best in creative environments. And the Assimilator, these are theoretical thinkers that learns best in an academically stimulating environment. And the Accommodator, these are also practical thinkers, but they learn best in active, fast-paced environments. Dr. Dice, would you like to clarify the question again about Kolbe's, about the learning styles, or did I answer the
no,
question?
It's from the previous presentation, so you just ignore it. It's fine.
Okay, I'll move on. So, is there any question before I move on to my next topic?
None.
No?
No, none.
Okay, so my next topic is about positive interaction between home and school. So here I'm going to be talking about honoring the school to home contract and relationship. So my first slide is building relationships. So To create a strong, respectful relationship between parents and practitioners, a genuine dialogue needs to be the foundation in which it is built on to accommodate information, sharing, ideas, and educational experiences. Both children and parents encounter separation anxiety, so it is vital that parents feel a sense of ease when relationships are formed with those caring for their children. Effective feedback in planning the handover processes at the end of the school day is important in order to ensure that the children's needs are met. Without this, it can often lead to regression in the child's progress, which is a crucial stage of development in early years, especially when a child is transitioning from preschool to year 1. So this is basically talking about the communication between parents and teachers, which is very, very important, because I know that most times there is a breakdown in communication, and that affects the children and their learning. So what is effective communication? So effective communication is one's ability to bring forth information effectively to others, either in their professional environment or social environment. So to demonstrate this in your learning environment, it is important that you use the right tone and appropriate words that is relevant to the situation. It's important that you maintain eye contact, turn taking when speaking to students, so that they feel at ease of security and they feel as if they are being listened to, because then in that way they'll be able to mirror that positive behavior and have respect. So, and repeating instructions where necessary, and be aware of each individual's child's understanding. This includes nonverbal communication, where children uses gestures such as facial expressions to communicate, because some children, as I mentioned earlier, some children are nonverbal communicators, and just by looking at an item, if you give them an option between an apple and a banana, some child might say the color of the fruit in order for them to communicate what they want, or some child might look at what fruit that they want or point. So that's different ways of adjusting to each child's need on how they communicate. So moving on to parental responsibilities. So parents are children's first teachers. So, you know, they learn from home first. So that's where I mentioned as well about them transitioning from a home environment to a school environment. So parents play a key role in shaping their child's character that results in their future. Children having a balance of learning at home and at school helps to stimulate parental encouragement that results in successful students. A parent's responsibility should not be limited to the home, but should also involve the child's learning environment. This includes where parents should be involved at parents' evenings, stay and play sessions, sports days, graduation, and educational trips. So moving on to my next topic. Any questions?
Just to highlight if there's a difference between learning style. What's the difference between learning styles and learning ability?
Learning style, well, they go together, because your learning style means you're adjusting how that child or the child retain information. So for example, as I mentioned before, there could be a child that is nonverbal, and you know, you could use pictures for them to choose from in order for them to communicate. For example, if you've got a math session and you know that the child on that table, there's a child on that table that communicates better when using pictures. So you'd use pictures, give that child options of using pictures to complete their work. There's other children that work better using just numbers, like I don't know if you guys if you know what I mean, but for us we use like bead squares and stuff to help some children to count. Some children needs different resources, and in the UK we place children on table according to their abilities, and then we give them the resources to support them.
Okay.
Can I move on now?
Yes, yes, certainly.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my next slide is about creating professional development. So I'll be talking about CPD training, professional development plan, performance appraisals, and peer observations. So for my first slide, the importance of trained personnel to cater for student development. So training programs are put in place to allow strengthening of professional skills and to create opportunities to advance in your field. According to the UNICEF education program called Every Child Has a Right to Learn, it states that a lack of trained teachers and inadequate learning materials and the makeshift classes, poor sanitation facilities make learning difficult for many children. So a well-trained and experienced teaching assistant who is patient and understanding plays a crucial role in the classroom and represents the lifeline of the teacher. With their support, they are able to unlock potential of the students in their care. Early years educators who has a wealth of knowledge, experience, and training in their field are able to support their teaching assistants and create an open and comfortable dialogue to be mirrored by their students and create a stimulating learning environment. So, you know, always improving on your professional development is very important, because the legislations and policies changes all the time. So, you know, it is vital that we are kept up with our training, which is mainly the responsibility of your employer. So my next slide is continuing professional training. So CPD stands for continuing professional training. So this is the term used to describe the learning and training activities which professionals engage in to develop and enhance their teaching abilities. So effective CPD is fundamental to sustaining positive learning and continuous improvement of teachers and students. CPD training allows you to show evidence of your experience to strengthen your teaching and career path. There are different ways of doing this. These are online training, becoming a member of an educational committee board, training courses, research materials, where you can do that yourself as well. There's a lot of online training resources. I'll also have those added on that will be available.
Okay.
So this one, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but it's basically what an example of a professional development plan. So let me see. So this is an example of a professional development plan. So so it talks about your long-term goals, and here on the right-hand side it's highlighting your plans over 6 months period, 12 months period, 24 months period, sorry. And you know, sorry, I'm not sure if you're able to see it properly, but it will be available for participants. But it's just an example on how to fill in a professional development plan. And you know, it's another form of a reflecting on your professional development as well, and ways that you can improve and advance in your career. Oh dear. I'm sorry, I seem to be having a bit of a problem here.
Okay.
Getting back to my
I want to highlight a point that
here we go.
raised. While you figure that out,
Mm-hmm.
someone says that, let me go back up. Learning styles. Learning style is the mode. Okay, hold on. In which students learn or acquire content best, while learning ability is the level at which a student can acquire content. That I want to highlight one other one. I agree with the speaker that parents have a role to help their child to transition from home to school, especially teaching their child their correct names instead of pet names, because some children coming to school are not aware of their correct names. For example, the teacher Mary Brown is not aware that the teacher is referring to that individual. That is a very good point.
Right. Yeah, that is a very good point. What could help with that also is if when the child come into school, what that I'm not sure if that is an educator, but that what can help is that she could write out the child's name on a piece of paper and put the tracing sheets on top, and have the child come in every morning to do. I'm sure they have early morning work, and then get the child to practice recognizing the letters in her name and how to form the letters also, because then then that way she will know that this is her name, this is how it's spelled, and so on and so forth. Can I move on now?
Yes.
Yeah. So my next slide is about peer observation. So here in the UK, we do lots of peer observation. So this is where teachers observe each other's performance through effective peer observation. So these include feedback and reflection on your own practice that will create opportunities for improvement where it is needed. So so for example, in the classroom, you don't often know that you are being observed by your peers, but in some circumstances you are aware, and at the end of it, you get feedback on how to improve your practice, and so on and so forth. Peer observation creates ways to enhance your learning skills, to provide an advanced learning environment that better promote students. It is also best practice for staff. The integration of principals and management staff in peer observation encourage the reevaluation of strategic plans, enforce improvement goals. So, where principals and management staff are involved in peer observation, they can also look at their policies and see where there's rooms for improvement, where they can introduce new training materials for staff, and so on and so forth.
Well, hold on one second, Ms. Thompson. Just to interrupt a little bit here, to announce that there is the middle managers session that is going on in another room. So if you're being moved, those are the folks who have signed up for middle management training. And the one that is going to start sometime soon, which is in another couple of minutes, is the roles and responsibilities in a new day. So those of us who have signed up for that training, it's taking place anytime now. And if you're being moved, you're going to be moved to another room in Zoom. And then once you're finished with that training, you'll come back in this room. So if you're being moved or you signed up for it, you're going to get moved to that training. Okay. So just so you know, that's the announcement. Okay, you can continue, Ms. Thompson.
Okay, I've got a link here. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Oh no. Okay, so Just another link that can be added to the resources also. So my next one is performance appraisal. So an appraisal is a formal professional process which is done for us. It's done once a year by the head of school, principal, or a member of the management team. This process is a reflection of your professional development over a period of time, reviewing your objectives, job description, strengths, improvements, and identifying how you as an employee needs will be met. So this is a meeting that has been, you know, done by your management team, and it's just reflecting on your professional skills, and if you need improvement, the suggestions are made, and so on and so forth. So I've actually, in conclusion, I didn't realize that I got to the end so quick.
No, you're doing very well, very well.
But in conclusion, one last thing I would like to add is that I believe in the concept of being one. When you're approaching education from an holistic level, which involves inclusivity, and going back to what the motto states at the beginning of my presentation, every child can learn and every child must learn. These are just resources. I've got lots of other ones to put in, but yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so now we have a few minutes. We have about 15 minutes for question and answers. So if you have your questions, you want to raise your hand in Zoom, and then we'll choose you to ask your questions. Or if you want to post them in the chat, you can also post them in the chat at this time. And keep in mind that the next session that is coming up is agricultural sustainability and education. It's coming up at 3:35 Eastern Daylight Time.
No questions? No one curious?
No questions so far.
Oh, wow, okay.
We could ask, let me see if Mr. Doug Havens is on, he could pick up from here where he could have a longer period of time. For people who are asking about middle managers training, you're being moved to that room at this time. It's about, let me see, about an hour and a half training. You'll pick up from there. Once you're finished, you'll come back in this room for the sessions we have left. We have 2 sessions, very important ones coming up: agricultural sustainability and education, and the last one for today is organizational inclusivity, creating an inclusive school environment. Those are the 2 that we have left, and some talks in between. All right, we have a few questions here. Miss Ball Wilson, one of our regular, she's one of us. Miss Ball Wilson, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, you're hearing me, Dr. Dice?
Yes.
All right, I have a question here. Very good presentation, very detailed presentation. But let me, as an early childhood practitioner also, could you share with us any best practices that you have in place that you will be implementing coming in this new school year?
Are you talking to as it relates to COVID-19 or
Right,
just?
as it relates to COVID.
Do you know what? I was dreading that question because I knew it was coming from someone.
Yeah.
Well, currently, I am currently on furlough. So that means the British government, if you've got any underlying medical issues, you are signed off from work. So for me, I am not actively working since I've been actively working since March, but I can tell you the things that we have put in place, whereas I'm sure other settings has also done that. So we've got like a contactless thermometer, so parents cannot come into the building. They have to stay outside and we bring the child to them. Every staff member, as when they approach the building, they get their temperature checked. We wear PPE. We have face mask and face shield as well. You know, your hands are sanitized straight away, as well as the children's hands are sanitized. We also sanitize their shoes by spraying it before they arrive into the building. So that's what we've put in place so far. And in the inside learning environment, we've also cleared out quite a few resources to so that we're able to make a lot more sections, section out for children, and we've got less children in. So we've split up our sessions. So we've got a morning session and we also have an afternoon session. So the morning session runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then the afternoon session, to 12 p.m. and then the afternoon session run from 1 to 4 p.m. So that's what my management have put in place so far.
Okay, thank you. A very good presentation, commendable.
Thank you so much. I was getting worried there because I wasn't getting any questions.
Yeah, man, it's very good, and thank you, Miss Octavia, for including it. Thank you, Dr. Dice.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Thompson, Miss Miller Thompson, I'm gonna try to unmute you here. See if we can get this done. If we can try unmuting on your end and ask your question. Yes, you're on. You're live.
Yes, I'm good afternoon all. I'm asking if I could be removed to the middle management workshop.
Oh, okay, yes, we're moving people right away.
Okay,
yes, it's gonna take a little bit more time, but it's you're gonna be moved.
Okay, and I need to also say to Ms. Thompson that the session was very informative.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes. All right, what time do we have here now? Okay, let me see if there's no other question.
Okay.
If Dr. Mr. Havens, if I can find him. All right, for those who are asking about the presentation, we will have resource for you on the website as soon as these PDs, these professional developments are finished. Then we will put everything on the website. We'll send out a link and you will have that for your reference.
Yep.
Okay.
Is it safe to say I can exit my
Yes, it's safe to say now. Let me see. Okay, yes. We're holding on for Mr. Doug Havens. He has a little talk. He's one of our biggest partners. He's one of our founding members actually for the Education Task Force. So we're waiting on him to join. I'm trying to get him up, right? Garrett Gordon, you have a question? Unmute yourself. Yes.
Oh, yes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, totally, yes.
Yes, I am not in the area of early childhood, but I would bring this information back to my school.
Okay.
About the transitioning process, transitioning from not the parental thing, that idea of linking school, interaction between home and school. There are cases where we have parents who are maybe having challenges, maybe emotional challenges and so forth, and so that process becomes very difficult to make that interaction between home and school, and that affects the whole process of that child being having that smooth transition. In case of those difficult, whether emotional difficulty with parents or just disabilities maybe, how do we cater for this? How do we actually try to bridge that gap to help those students to transition smoothly?
Well, here in the UK, we do home visits. I'm not sure if they are you based in Jamaica?
Yes, ma'am, I'm in Jamaica.
Pardon me?
Yes, I'm in Jamaica actually, yes.
Yeah. Here in the UK, we do home visits first to familiarize, so that the children can familiarize themselves with their teacher. So what happens is the teacher does the home visit with the parent and the child in their home, so that you know, so the child can familiarize themselves with the teacher and vice versa, so that they just to, you know, show some form of give them some form of reassurance, and, you know, just for example, let them know that this is what your school will look like, you know, this is what your uniform will look like, and so on and so forth, you know, so that it is something for them to look forward to, and it's not a case where they are just pushed into deep end, and they're just been told, oh, I'm going to school, and, you know, they're not aware of their surroundings and stuff like that. There's also school visits as well that is done here. Also, that is a follow-up from the home visit. So that's another way of the child and the parent or parents familiarizing themselves with the learning environment, and, you know, and with their teacher, so that they are aware of, okay, so this is where I'm going to come in September when mommy leaves me, or when mommy or daddy leaves me. I'm going to go into Miss Johnson's class, and, you know, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Thanks. So that will be done prior to actual start.
Yes. Yeah.
Good time. Home visits, then school orientation, and so forth.
Yeah.
And we could actually, like, if some of the early childhood schools are within the vicinity, we could actually visit those schools before, like the year before, so that.
Or over the summer holidays, you know, prior to them starting in September, you know.
All right. Thanks very much. And good job with your presentation too. Very good job.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for that question.
All right.
And comment, sir. Yes.